Last time I talked about the Scarlet Citadel right here on my channel. I talked about how my players went into the Scarlet Citadel and how they kind of cleared the first level of the Scarlet Citadel, and some of my concerns about this book and some stuff that I really like about it, some stuff that I like a little bit less about it. And now that I've ran 2 more sessions of the Scarlet Citadel, my players have now also cleared the second level of this dungeon, meaning that I'm now ready to talk about the second level of the Scarlet Citadel, which is basically split into 2 really different and really cool parts. And I want to kind of talk about like some of the stuff that I find really cool about that level, about how my players overcame those things, but also kind of agreeing with some of the concerns put out by the community in the comment section of the previous video. So without further ado, let's get into it. So after doing my first video of the Scarlet Citadel, it was never my intention really to do a video series, but I asked you in that video if you wanted me to do a video series about my players going through the Scarlet Citadel, because some of you, well, a lot of you told me that yes, we would like that series. Some of you have the book and just want to see the way I run things. Some of you are on the fence about getting the book and just want to see if it's for them, and some of you really despise the book and still hope I'm going to end up despising the book, but I think most of those people picked up a book that is different than they expected the book to be, if that makes any sense. Now, let's get into the second level of the Scarlet Citadel. The second level of the Scarlet Citadel is called the Arcane Cryptorium and Alchemist Surface, if I'm not mistaken, which is a really generic, non-saying title for a dungeon level, and it doesn't really give the players any sense of what is going to end up being there, except that there's a lot to do with like magic and all of that stuff. And I always like say the title of the level before they go into down the stairs, because I just think that's cool. Congratulations, you've reached the Dwarven Barracks. And then they're like, oh, we reached the Dwarven Barracks. And then we end the session there, and they were like, we're going to go in those Dwarven Barracks, which is, by the way, level 3, the next level. My players went all the way through level 2, and level 2 is split into 2 parts, and I really like both parts, but I had to change quite a lot in the second part. The first part I played almost completely vanilla, the way it is written in the book, in Scarlet Citadel, and it is basically a place where this crazy wizard type, who juggles grenades, by the way, and lights her cigarette with grenades. And she does, I'm gonna call her a she. I don't know if she's really a she, but I'm gonna call her a she. She researches oozes, all kinds of different oozes. She has like these big things placed everywhere with different kinds of oozes, and she combines oozes, and she makes potions and poisons out of oozes that the players can find, and my players actually found those that do different things. And my players, I played that vanilla, it's old school dungeon crawl oozes. They fought like 3 different type of oozes. The last one almost resulted in a TPK, but it ended up being pretty bad for the party, but not a TPK. But my players actually didn't fight that person. They talked to her, and she let them continue through the dungeon. Now, of course, she knew the players were going to run into the second part of the dungeon, which is basically the lair of a Chronomancer. Somebody who is completely and utterly, I don't know, taken by the idea of time, and they do research for like time and space and all of that kind of weird stuff, universe kind of stuff. And it is there where I had to change quite a bit. I say change, but I actually left out quite a bit, because there's just a few things that I don't like in my games. And 2 things basically: insta-kill effects. I don't like being like, oh, you touch this, you die, or you drop to 0 hit points. I don't like that. But also, I really am a sucker for time travel. I like playing with like aspects of time and raw time energy that could age you like 10 years or de-age you 10 years or whatever, or the equivalent of an elf or a dwarf. But this part where the Chronomancer is, there's a few parts where if the players touch or do the wrong thing, interact with the wrong thing in the wrong way, they potentially can get catapulted I don't know, 20,000 times into the future or something like that. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, there is a list here where you roll randomly on a d8. Let's say you roll a 1. 1500 years in the past. The characters are in a natural cavern. 4 savage-looking dwarves squat around the fire, roasting meat on sticks. Blah, 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 blah. There's more here. If you roll an 8, you go 75,000 years into the future. By this time, the upper layers of the Citadel are gone, blasted away by some titanic cataclysm. The area is open to the sky, which is blah, 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 2 ghouls, blah, 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 all kinds of stuff. This kind of stuff, it is just way too vague for me to continue. It is completely campaign breaking. My players are in the Scarlet Citadel because they are looking for Gellert the Gruesome, who's like in the lowest level of the Scarlet Citadel. He's in the book. And long story short, he has a bounty on his head, and the players are doing the bounty because they want to gain the favor of the dwarves who have an airship, and the players want that airship to go to the southern part of Midgard. So they have their own story going on. We have our own campaign going on. Having these effects that catapult you 75,000 fucking years into the future. I don't know. That's something I like improvising, but that's something you should be prepared for as a game master. And if you're not, leave it out. Don't worry, just leave it out. The players don't know you left it out. And that is one of the main things I want to say about the Scarlet Citadel. A lot of people expect the Scarlet Citadel book to just be like a drag and drop, easy to use book, which it isn't. This is an old school dungeon crawl, not only the way it feels for the players, but also the way it reads and is supposed to be used as a game master. This is the kind of book that you, I've said it in my previous videos, but I'm gonna say it again, that you sit down with a notepad and you make notes about NPCs that are in the dungeon, traps that are in the dungeon. You might even use like a marker and mark some things within the blocks of text in here, because yes, a lot of people pointed this out. There's rooms that have like almost an entire page or a page and a half of explanation with background information that you might not even communicate towards your players. But that is the way this thing is supposed to be done. You as a game master, you make notes and you use it as a toolbox. You do not use it as gospel. You don't need to use 100% of a book. You can also take 60, 70, 80% of the stuff that works for your game, write that down in your notes and play the game like that. And again, I really love books that you can just take at the table without any form of preparation time or whatever. But I also like every now and then, like the day before a session or 2 days before a session, sitting down with a notepad and just be like, oh yeah, I got this and I want to combine this with this. So I left that part out completely. I had my players fighting a Chronomancer. I had my players, some of my players aged like 10 or 20 years, which means they got like stat changes here and there. One player got completely, they de-aged, if I'm not mistaken, like 10 years or something like that. So I played around with that timed kind of thing. And there's also some lesser things in here that if the players do that, they could age, I don't know, a d6 plus 4 years or something like that, and then they have some stat ages. And there's one thing in here that is another thing that I don't really like doing, but I like the idea of it. The general, like, oh shit, where is it? I should have prepared my video. I should have prepared my video better. Yeah, there is a time stream effect table here. It's kind of like a T20 table, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, where there's, for example, the creature goes sideways in time or something like that. Shot it sideways in time. Instead of coming to the Scarlet Citadel with other characters, the creature followed a different path. The creature suddenly finds itself in area 116, which is a completely different area of the dungeon. Now, it is on the first level, meaning that the players could backtrack to that person, but the rest of the party doesn't know that one person is up there. So that's the kind of like splitting the party stuff that I also not use a lot as a game master. I like keeping the party together. Except for situations where the party chooses to split up. Sometimes I give you like 2 paths. One is through lava and the other one is through more lava. And some players might decide to go right and left. That's their choice. But I, as a game master, would never split up a party. I would never split up a party. So that's a few things about that I had to change. I didn't really change anything. I just left out a bunch right there. Now, one encounter that I really liked in this part of the dungeon, the Chronomancer part of the dungeon, where the gnome Chronomancer wizard resides and does time research, is he has captured a barbed devil. And he has like this pentagram-like kind of thing on the floor in a big room. It's not a pentagram, but it's like this thing on the floor, and it's actually a cage of energy, and there's this barbed devil in there. It's actually an encounter that turned out not to be an encounter, because for me at least, the barbed devil cannot get out of there. First of all, the gnome wizard is really scared of the barbed devil, so he doesn't really dare to let him out of there. But he has kind of this deal, like, if an enemy party shows up, I will let you free. If you kill them, you can get out of here and I will let you go, whatever. And the gnome wizard has a bag of salt that he can toss in like the energy field to create like this path, and the barbed devil will get out and try to kill the party. That way the Chronomancer could retreat to his chambers or join the fight, which would be a really hard fight. Now, my players saw this barbed devil before they encountered the time wizard. They saw the barbed devil, but they didn't really like check in the room. Now, if they would have gone into the room, I would have put the Chronomancer in the room. But it didn't go in the room, so there was no Chronomancer in that room. That's like the kind of like the railroading kind of thing that I do. So they went on and they went to the chambers of the Chronomancer, and I put the Chronomancer there, and they had this fight with the Chronomancer, meaning that they had to pass the barbed devil to get to level 3. They had to pass him again, but now he couldn't escape, and there was like this really weird role-playing encounter where this barbed devil was just set me free. Set me free, I'm hungry and I'm bored and I want to get out and I want to go eat children. No, I don't want to go eat children. Just set me free, I won't do eat children. This really cool role-playing encounter where my players basically just backed out of the room and went to level 3 without wanting to do anything with the barbed devil. And I really like those things, those potential combat encounters that, due to sheer luck or circumstances by the game master, often turn out not to become a combat encounter. But if the players now backtrack back out of the dungeon after like clearing part of level 3, they want to rest up, they want to go higher into the dungeon, they know the barbed devil is there. The players don't know it cannot ever escape, but they know it's there, and it's always going to be like, they have to pass it always, so it's always going to be there, just, oh hey, you again, hey, are you now ready to set me free? And it's always going to be like that really fun little bit of dungeon funness that is inside the Scarlet Citadel. Also, barbed devils are really dangerous. Just to summarize for a little bit, I don't really want to dissect this dungeon and give you all of the details. This is just like general thoughts about some parts of the dungeon. The first part of level 2, where the Oozes, crazy ooze lady lives, is just a really cool part that I played completely vanilla. They fought like different types of oozes. There were some secrets, there were some potions to be found, some other magic items to be found. Then the second part is where some of the issues came for me, where the idea and the entire way it's built is really, really cool. I really like playing with time. I really like having that aspect in my games every now and then. But the book just takes it too far. The writers just take the time bit a little bit too far. So I left a bunch of that out. And I want to say again, yes, wall of text. Yes, this book is not something you take to a game where you're not prepared. This is a book that you sit down with and you prepare. Now, some of you have said that there's a lot of information in some of the blocks of text that the players will not ever know about, right? Like background information of the Scarlet Citadel, whatever, that the players might never know about. I actually like that. I don't know, this is gonna sound really vague, but in order to portray a certain vibe or a certain feeling, knowing more about it gives you the right energy to portray that vibe and feeling. If you portray the Lord of the Rings, like if you're Peter Jackson, you create Lord of the Rings, right? There's a lot more going on in the story than the movies show the viewer. But since the director and the script writers or whatever know all of that background information, all of the other battles that are going on, all of the in-between parts, all of the little things, they can really portray a movie that feels big, and it always feels that there's more going on than the movie actually shows you, right? So I think as a game master, having this extra information, if you have the time to read it and to prepare, is really cool and can really, I really like that. And then if you say you have 100% of the information, you can choose to release tidbits of information to your players, and if your players pick up on something, you can really give that to them and have them interpret it in their own way, completely wrongly oftentimes, and have fun with that and improvise from there. So yeah, I actually like that. I don't play like that always. I oftentimes just go unprepared or prepare a little, and then I just take an encounter that is just ready, done encounter. But for this game, for the Scarlet Citadel, if you're the kind of game master that likes sitting down, take some notes about NPC names, backgrounds, some DCs for traps and all that stuff, I still think the Scarlet Citadel is an old school feeling dungeon crawl, and my players are having a heck of a time, and I'm having a heck of a time. Until next video, bye bye.